It isn't just that it establishes what seems to be a lower threshold to authorize Canadian Border Service agents to go through your most intimate documents. It's that it will create a lot of confusion both at the border and in the courts.
How easy should it be for a Customs and Border agent to go through your phone? The Alberta Court of Appeal says it should be more difficult than going through your bags. But there's a new bill going through the Senate that could actually make it easier.
I've never seen this kind of just straight up new evidentiary test bootlegged into a new piece of legislation in this way. I don't want to say it's unprecedented. I lack the historical perspective to be able to say that with confidence. It's certainly the first time I've ever seen it.
Bill S-7 would amend the Customs and Pre-Clearance Act, allowing border agents to go through your phone, laptop, or tablet as long as they have a reasonable general concern that you might be breaking the law. Part of the problem? Reasonable general concern isn't defined.
I'm pretty certain that as soon as we start having arrests under these provisions, there are going to be a lot of litigants going to court because the courts are going to have to determine what reasonable general concern means because we just have no framework for it. There's nothing in Canadian law. There's nothing in British or Australian or New Zealand or American law. No countries that have our kind of common law tradition have used that phrase in any of their legislation.
Tim McSorley at the International Civil Liberties Monitoring Group has similar concerns. He says if passed, border agents would be given guidelines on what constitutes a reasonable general concern, but
the threshold is so vague that even with regulations, which we haven't even seen yet because it would only be enacted after the law is passed, the level of justification needed to search cell phones would still be very low.
S-7 comes after an Alberta Court of Appeal case which found parts of the Customs Act are unconstitutional and can't be used to justify searches of personal digital devices without suspicion. That court told the federal government to find a new threshold for searching digital devices.
Because they said having no threshold gave border agents far too much license. And the court didn't tell them exactly what test to come up with, but they suggested, it could be something like this, it could be something like that. And instead, the government came up with a test that, to my lay eyes, looks like it's actually a lower threshold than any other standard in customs law.
McSorley says we don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are already legal standards in place that could be used.
We think that the threshold of reasonable grounds to suspect, which is also found in the Customs Act, which is used to justify, as I said, searching mail and other items that have a higher degree of an expectation of privacy, could be a good solution.
CityNews reached out to the Office of Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino, responsible for the bill, but didn't hear back. Senate committees will start looking at the bill next week, but Senator Simons says colleagues from across the political spectrum have expressed opposition to S-7 as it's written, and she expects to see changes.
If there's any thought that the Senate is just going to let this blow by, that is to misunderstand the nature of the Canadian Senate today.
In Ottawa, Shali Lee, City News.